you are everything that you've gone through. You become your own project. So with your awareness of understanding how you make decisions, how your past experiences influence how you communicate, what's your style of conflict, how do you get along with people that are different from you, what's common for you, what's not common for you, all of these things. What time do you go to sleep? What time do you work best? This is all giving
Yeah.
you information about yourself.
I'm Chris Jones, but the real star today, we're going to talk about something called emotional intelligence, something I hear a lot about, and I've seen a couple of videos saying it doesn't exist, but I don't believe them at all. We have here communication skills expert and global communication coach, Monique Russell from Georgia, where it's warm. Hello, Monique.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
I am well today, despite the fact that it was 1 degree in my car this morning. Wow.
Sorry.
Well, communication skills expert. It takes time to develop that. How long have you been in business doing that?
Oh my goodness. Communication skills development has been my entire life, Chris.
Oh.
I started speaking at the age of 8 years old in front of live audiences, and that desire continued throughout high school. It helped me be on national debate organizations, representing my school as a school senator, then going off to college and studying the science of communications for 12 years.
Wow.
So undergrad in broadcast journalism, grad both in different communication disciplines as well. And then the real world happened, right? You get in there and start using the tools and strategies. Never really located my dream job, but I'm doing my dream job today. So I will say that it's not something that has a definite or finite beginning and or ending, but it's definitely been a part of my entire life.
It's a growth thing because every day I'm sure you wake up with vigor and passion and you want to get on with the day and do what you do because you're living your passion pretty much, right?
Yeah, but not every day. And most days, yes, but not every day. Let's keep it real. Not every
Okay, I
day.
understand that.
Not
Yeah.
every day, but
A
most
little
days,
over.
yes.
I like to get all into that stuff.
It's all
And
right.
and I asked you about your accomplishments and what you're proud of, and you like to talk a lot about families and basically family meetings, reactivating family meetings, because people get lost in their own worlds. I'm sure, even within the family, especially when electronic and they're all on the phone. There's 6 of them sitting around a couch and they're all doing this on the phone, and it's like, what's your name again? And but you're proud of that. You do a lot of that. You help families talk to each other.
Oh my goodness, that's one of my biggest accomplishments right now of recent because like you're saying, you get caught up in certain things and you're busy but I think when your kids are younger, my kids are 21 and 15 and so they're very much young adults and they have their own interests and their own focus. And it gets even more challenging when you're not living all together. So I have one son who's out of state and you think like, okay, you just go along as usual. But we used to have family meetings that were really intentional and designed to create opportunities to catch everybody up with what's going on, where we need help, and more importantly, to affirm each other. Because I think we don't actually set aside time in our families, with our siblings, with our kids to affirm each other. So that's one big thing that I'm proud of reactivating in our family and encouraging others to do the same too.
I have seen this recently in some people that I know, where the parents, the older couple, the grandparents, shall we say, pass away, both of them, and the siblings, 5, 6 kids, whatever. I mean, the number doesn't matter, but lose touch with each other, especially if they don't live close to each other. Do you find that? Have you seen that happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very common, even if the parents haven't passed away. I mean, let's just keep it straight open and honest, even if the parents haven't passed away, there's often some sort of strained, tense, not a connected unity or union. And that happens when we're not really putting intentional effort into it. So it's not
Mhm.
something that
Right.
it's like going to the gym. If you don't set aside time for it,
Right.
then you're going to be out of shape. And that's the same way it is with our siblings, because when we move away from each other, we develop and we grow. My dad told me, he said, I think we were talking a couple years ago, and when I was younger and he saw me and I was around him, he could tell what my personality was, and all those things. But when we're only really getting together in celebration time, a baby, somebody's wedding or a birthday or something like that, it's
Right.
it's, it's that short period of time you don't really have that connection. But if you set aside time to intentionally connect, they get to see more of you, how you've evolved, how they can support you, and vice versa. My dad was like, I don't know how you would behave in a situation like X. What do you think I would do? And I said, well, based on what I know about you, this is what I think you would do. And he's like, yeah, that part is a little bit correct. So I think setting aside time to just build those relationships with the people that we love is important.
Why do people not do that a lot? I mean, you have clients, right? And families that you talk with about that stuff. And what do you
Mhm.
think is the reason that they get apart? Is it anxiety, just lack of communication skills, or what would your
Yeah. Well, one is the lack of awareness of how relationships, nurturing relationships, are formed. That's number one. Everybody wants a nurtured relationship. Everybody wants somebody who's going to reach out to them, who's going to celebrate them, who's going to be there for them. Everybody wants the benefit of that, but not everyone wants to do the work. And what's that
Yeah,
work? That work is being intentional, setting aside time, not allowing conflicts to just fester, addressing things in a timely manner, being careful and thoughtful about the words that you use. Sometimes you tend to think just because the people who are closest to you, their family or their friends or the connected, we take them for granted sometimes. And we feel like we could just, use any type of words and not have as much care and thought as if we were to put into a client conversation or
right.
to a boss conversation at work. But my encouragement is definitely to set aside the same effort and time to
Mhm.
have those intentional conversations to build those relationships.
I have found that with regards to things that aren't business, personal, if you put it on a calendar, talk with dad, talk with my sister, or whatever, that works. It works.
Yeah, that's part of what we did. When I said I was so proud of reestablishing or reactivating our family meetings, is exactly what we did. We put it on the calendar. We put it on our Sundays, and everybody jumps on Zoom. It's
No,
very informal, but it serves a great purpose of staying connected.
that's cool. I might have a real world example of this. My father's family is from Maine. They're scattered all over the state up there, and my mother's family is in Vermont. So, and I live in upstate New York. So it's how people separate. And one of the things I'm working on as a project is to gather them all up on a gigantic Zoom call and get like 50 or whatever people in there. So I'm working on that because trying to gather them all up in a physical place would be much more of a challenge. And I have to thank, and I don't like saying it like this, but it's in a good light. Thank the pandemic. I don't know how I'm trying to word it right, but
Hmm.
that gave us more awareness of the fact that we can communicate a lot easier through electronic means, and it kind of bridges the distance.
You are
And,
100% right.
and that's just something that helped me in my own business. But this is about you now. One of the things that you like to talk about in your accomplishments is your self awareness. You have become more self aware over time because of you do therapy. For yourself, I'm looking at what you wrote here to me. Therapy and coaching, and you coach people, and that helps too. That's like a therapy, I suppose. And
No, it ain't no therapy, Chris. I'm not giving therapy. It may feel good, but it's two very distinct disciplines, right?
okay, see,
So
see, this is why I do. This is why you expert, and I'm just like asking dumb questions. So,
no.
so if you could explain the difference there.
Therapy, I guess I would say it, first of all, you want to use a professional therapist, someone
Right.
who is skilled in those modalities to help you think differently or think in a way that would help you understand yourself. And
Mhm.
therapy is focused a lot on things that happened in the past, things that, um, that you focused on maybe in your childhood or previous experiences. Coaching is more future focused. It's about, yourself in the future, setting future goals, things that you want to accomplish there, getting support, encouragement, and accountability. So two very, very different approaches. But yes, you're absolutely right. That's one of my greatest accomplishments as well, is my process of self-discovery, self-awareness, and
So,
self-development, because I cannot imagine how many blind spots that I would still have had I not gone through that process. So,
mhm.
I mean, we talk about also emotional intelligence, and that's a part of it. The self-awareness part, the self-awareness is a tenet in emotional intelligence. And you said you read somewhere that it didn't exist.
No, 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 I didn't. No, no,
So,
there's, I look at videos because everybody's got an opinion on something. And there's some YouTube videos out there that say emotional intelligence is not a thing. And this one guy, he's just going off on it. I'm like, that can't be right. What is the for the layman? What is the exact definition of emotional intelligence?
well, hey, this is what I want to say, Chris. Even if someone says it doesn't exist, that's okay. Like I'm all about critical thinking,
Right.
and we don't always have to agree with each other. We
No.
can listen to viewpoints, and that's what I encourage my clients to do.
Right.
So even for me, I mean, we have a framework. Emotional intelligence is a framework. It's a framework that helps us to put things in neat little boxes,
Hmm.
because that's how we process things. And in
Yeah.
that framework, there's four main compartments. There's self-awareness, there's self-management, there's social skills, and then relationship management. Now, in my mind, Chris, when
Hmm.
I see it and I think about it, I put it in three big buckets. I said it's psychology, it's business, and it's sales, right?
Yeah.
So sociology, sorry, psychology, sociology, business, and sales. And I put it in those buckets because self-awareness is really the psychology of understanding yourself and
Hmm.
understanding you are everything that you've gone through. You become your own project. So with your awareness of understanding how you make decisions, how your past experiences influence how you communicate, what's your style of conflict, how do you get along with people that are different from you, what's common for you, what's not common for you, all of these things. What time do you go to sleep? What time do you work best? This is all giving
Yeah.
you information about yourself. If you know that every time you drink that kale smoothie, you're going to start scratching, then having the awareness that, okay, maybe I shouldn't have kale smoothie when I'm going on a virtual live presentation because I'll be scratching all over the place, right? So you have the awareness, and then you move into that whole self-management. That self-management in that example is, I'm not going to drink that kale smoothie before I go on a live video. I'm not going to do my biggest project when I have the lowest energy. I'm not
Yeah.
going to have this conversation when I'm in a heated state, or if I'm in an angered state. So you're managing yourself. That's that psychology piece, right? Then the sociology is social skills. This is social skills. This is how people relate with each other through tribes and groups and revolutionaries and rebels. Sociology, how do we connect with people? These are topics that have been available from eons, but the framework of emotional intelligence helps us to package these things nicely. And then you get into your sales, your social skills, and your relationship management. Sales is all about listening. What do they want?
Yeah.
How can I help them solve their problem?
Yeah.
Relationship management, nurturing, like we talked about the family meetings. How are
Yeah.
you nurturing your relationships? How are you supporting others? How are you supporting yourself? So, all of these aspects and these buckets, I say sociology, psychology, business, and sales, they are the subcategories of what I see the framework of emotional intelligence provides. So it's just like someone going to school and getting degrees in all of those disciplines and now strengthening their emotional intelligence.
Monique, there are about 6 or 7 sound bites in what you just said. And it is it's amazing. It's amazing. And a friend of mine who's watching the show here, I flashed it earlier, but he's saying emotional intelligence exists, but it's like faith. It helps when you believe and are aware. So thank you for that, Tim Soldier.
Definitely. Thank you, Tim.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Let's talk about your book. You
Yes,
you published a book,
I did.
Intentional Motherhood. Obviously, I know what motherhood is, but there's a distinct difference, I guess. Intentional motherhood. What inspired you to write this? Probably raising your children, right?
Absolutely. So, two things inspired me. One, maybe three things inspired me. One, I wanted to leave something behind for my great, 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 great grandkids whenever they arrive,
Great.
right? Great, right? I wanted to leave an honest account because a lot of the things I discuss in the book aren't things that people typically discuss in their families. And then if you look at previous generations, there are a lot of topics that they just were taboo or not open for conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to leave this legacy behind in terms of what I learned of self-awareness, of connecting with people, of living my own life as a mom, as a professional mom. And then I wanted to also capture this information for my family,
Right.
my cousins, my friends, people that are coming behind me. So my journey about having my kids. Well, I had my first son at the age of 18, and I was in college. I was working two jobs. I was running a department. I was doing some presentations, and 2 years later, I was teaching parenting to parents who were twice my age on how to make it all work. I didn't know it then, but through reflection and awareness, I understood that it was not about age or biology, it was about identity. So my book is something that goes through 8 chapters. It's Who Said It Would Be Easy. It's not about age, it's about identity, how we see ourselves. The identity of a mother, which means that we have to set aside time to redefine what success looks like, because if we just have it happen reactively and we're not keeping up, that's when, guess what? Those friends of guilt and overwhelm tend to come up and we feel like we're failing. So we have to redefine what it's like. A woman's likes versus a woman's loves. That's a powerful chapter. And it goes deep into emotional intelligence, what we can see, or how to identify someone who is practicing self-love versus self-like. The Working Mother is full of practical tips on, batching, on making things efficient as a working mom. Chapter 6, apologize to your kids. So many of my clients, people that I've worked with, if they can get a great apology from their parents, and I'm talking about most of my clients are late 30s to mid 60s, a good apology, a good honest conversation can really liberate a lot of people. And the chapter 7, the Egoful Father, it talks about my journey meeting my dad, my biological dad at 8, our journey throughout life. And it dispels a lot of myths about men who are leading from their ego. It's not that they want to, they don't know how. So we have to determine how to navigate relationships with men in our lives that are leading from their ego in different places and different spaces. And the final chapter, Chris, is guess what?
I don't know. Something
Take a
monumental.
guess. Take a guess. Come on. You got this.
How to it has to do with relationships, I'm guessing.
Yes.
and
Yes.
relationship with the man in your life or the significant other in your life, maybe something like that. I'm guessing.
Close. It's about intentional conversations.
Intentional. That's, that's the word I said in the beginning. Okay, intentional.
Yes. So it's really about what we talked about a little bit here today, but setting aside time for intentional conversations. This is really actually a good
Like
leadership book.
we are going to have a conversation Sunday night at, during dinner and after dinner. We're going to play a game, or we're just going to sit and talk as a family, all six of us or however many there are. So that would be intentional, making it happen on maybe a specific night during the week or whenever on the weekend, something like that. That's intentional, right? Did I get
That
it
is
right?
very much intentional. And it's not just with your family. It's maybe a conversation that you need to have with your boss, with your client who may not be living up to their end of the bargain, with your
Yeah.
estranged sibling. It's about having that time and setting aside the time and going into that conversation with intention on how you want to have outcomes. What outcomes do you want out of that conversation? Because if we're honest with ourselves, each one of us has conversations that we know we need to have, but we haven't had it yet.
And why is that? Fear.
Exactly.
Fear of something. Fear of
Exactly.
what are they going to think of me? It's like the fear of going live on the internet. It's like, what if I look like crap? What if I say something wrong? You know what? And I've always found that fear can be overcome if you just do the thing that you fear, and then it usually gets better after that.
It does. And that requires intention.
Intention. It's all
Yes.
part of that same thing. Wow. Amazing. More sound bites. Holy moly, this is good. This is hot. This hot. That's the wrong word.
It's hot, Chris. You the
Yes,
hype
well,
man. Come on. It's
this is
hot.
good. I was gonna say this is. I like the word next level. So next level stuff. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Um, there's some people viewing. If anybody has any comments or questions for Monique regarding her book or regarding, emotional intelligence or intentional motherhood, please type them in the chat, and we'll get them on here. Um, um, so the book's been out about a year, I think, right? Where can someone get that?
You can get it on Amazon. You could also get it on my website, moniquerussell.com. You can go to the shop and you can get your resources. You can take a look at other courses, but you can certainly get the book there too.
Okay. So okay, moniquerussell.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Anywhere else? Are you on the other ones like Twitter, Facebook?
You can find me on Instagram, Claire
Instagram.
Communication Coach.
Mhm.
Yes, Facebook, not so much. So don't even worry about that. Just stick with just stick with LinkedIn.
I hear that so much.
Stick with the website.
Forget about Facebook.
Don't worry about it because LinkedIn, I'm here every day, most
Yeah.
most weeks I'm here. Yeah. So
that's great. That's great. What else was I going to say? I'm going to lead into my final couple of questions here. When you watch movies, say as a family or by yourself, what kinds of movies do you like? What kinds of movies do you watch? What do you like to look at? What do you like to experience?
Well, I love humorous movies, comedy, because it just gets me in a good state and makes me smile. I love cultural movies. So I love Nigerian, Nollywood movies. I love movies that teach me something new. So business themes as well. It just gets me thinking, not just in the moment, but also I have takeaways for my business as well. So yeah, just cultural movies, business movies, humor movies, fun stuff.
On your LinkedIn profile, you are a virtual speaker and trainer, it says, and you also have a podcast, which I wanted to mention as well. What is the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called Bridge to You. Bridge to You, Understanding and Black Unity. It focuses on diversity and inclusion among Black cultures. Yes.
Okay, now I see the hashtag diversity a lot, and I know what it is, but what is the inclusion add to that? I'm speaking, and I'm just a curious. I don't know, so I want to ask. So
Yeah. And so it's just that. So we are already diverse, but being inclusive, in my view, means having the shared understanding, going through sharing of stories with others. That's what most of my guests on the show do. And
mm,
through their sharing of stories, they share their awakening to how perhaps a view that they held previously excluded them from connecting with other cultures.
okay,
So the experiences they have foster the inclusive approach, meaning that they have new perspectives about other cultures, they have new awakenings, and they're more open to being curious and connected.
okay, I love that. I love that. Also, it says here that you coach African. I want to say that word right. Diaspora women.
Diaspora.
Diaspora.
Yes.
See, I'd like to say things.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience and how that goes.
Yeah, so which is so funny because a couple weeks ago, or maybe last year, I don't know how long it's been, I put that word up in a poll because the word diaspora is used differently among different people. Some
Okay.
people think of the Jewish history when they think of diaspora, or they go to the technical definition of the word diaspora. But
Mhm.
for those that are of African descent, the word diaspora takes on a part of the identity. And what it means is that those who have heritage from Africa or heritage from the motherland, they are dispersed or in different places or living in the Caribbean or living in wherever.
Mhm.
It's used as an identity portion, the same way you would identify as an American.
Right.
The word diaspora, especially for the African diaspora, there are people that use it as a part of their identity. Now, not everybody, obviously, chooses to use that in that way. But for those that do, there's a certain mindset, there's a certain awareness that I tend to see in those people that I serve.
Okay.
And so it's very clear for me. Yeah.
Oh.
And so that's been great because, hey, like I said, the cultural influences, my dad is from Nigeria, my mom
Mhm.
is from the Bahamas.
Mhm.
And so the multicultural experiences and exposures that I have make me even more effective as a global multicultural communications coach.
I love that term, global communications coach. That just got a nice ring to it. Um,
Mhm.
is your a lot of your family around you down in near Atlanta? Do you have them in the general area down there?
Not a lot. My dad lives here, but a lot of my family are dispersed throughout the world.
Okay.
So I have a good bit that is still in the islands, in the Bahamas, the beautiful islands of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I have family in Nigeria, I have family in London, I have family in the Middle East, I have family all over. So
That's where Zoom comes in handy then.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Zoom and WhatsApp,
Yeah.
these days,
Yeah.
everybody who has anybody outside of their country knows that WhatsApp is it.
Wow. We talked about movies earlier. What is your absolute favorite movie of all time?
Chris, you're doing to me. I don't even have an absolute favorite, but let me see what pops up.
Two or three, then doesn't matter. I'm.
I do. Hey, let me see. You're making it tough. You ask these tough questions, Chris.
Well, I thought they were. I thought the ones we had up to now were easy. This sounds like the tough one.
These are the tough stuff. So, favorite movie. There are a few that I like, but one that's coming up is the Coming to America with Eddie
Eddie
Murphy.
Murphy. I could watch Eddie Murphy all day.
That was funny. I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. It
So
was
that came up for me just now. But I love it because, it's just the journey of trying to find yourself in a new environment, trying to
Yeah.
make it, trying to fit in, just it really connects to everything that I represent as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Another question. If you had a time machine, such as a TARDIS from Doctor Who or the DeLorean from Back to the Future, or some way to go back and speak with somebody that influenced you. Doesn't have to be a famous person, could be a relative, whatever. but somebody you'd like to have a conversation or a cup of coffee with, and you could do it once, who might that person be? Who would you choose to go see back in time?
Hmm. Back in time. Well, I would say I would want to talk to Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
I would definitely want to have a conversation with him. Um, yeah, he's coming up for me. The other person that's coming up for me is Bob Marley. I would want to have a
Yes.
conversation with Bob, man, because he was a revolutionary and just to,
Such an
I mean, I've
influence.
just a very iconic person. And to, for me, I like to learn from people who are changing the world,
Hmm.
who are having positive impact on the world. And I want to see or learn from them how they manage themselves, because standing out in those ways is not easy. I want to know their thought process. I want to get more up and close up and personal to see how they forge through, how they get people on their teams, to just forge through so much adversity and
Hmm.
still be successful.
Bob Marley had such an influence on music. Now, as a radio person, and growing up in the 70s, I did. I was first introduced to Bob Marley and the whole reggae thing through a song called "I Shot the Sheriff"
I shot the
by Eric Clapton. Eric's version of it. That's when I said, who wrote that? I mean, or who played that? That's such a great song.
sheriff. But
And
I
then when I
didn't
did
shoot
and then when I
the
did some college
deputy.
radio,
Mhm.
which is like free form, you can play what you want. I would get into the reggae and the Jimmy Cliff stuff and a bunch of other. I forget all the names at this point, but the whole reggae beat and a reggae sound. And I think Sirius XM has a reggae channel. I think
Mhm.
that I tune into once in a while. So yeah, so normally I'll play. I have this internet radio station where I play pop and rock and stuff, the Casey Kasem stuff. But then I like to just diverse into the other stuff, and reggae is one of them. And I love the sound myself. So wow,
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, we've been going about 32 minutes now, and we've got some viewers, but I think I want to wrap it up. Monique Russell, communication skills expert and global communication coach. It's been a lot of fun, and we could probably go on another hour and not repeat anything. But I just want to say thank you for your time today, and thank you for your value and a lot of golden nuggets, I call them, of information and value in this broadcast today. So I just want to say, and I always do this, the Spock thing: live long and prosper.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on your show. It was great.
You had fun. Thank you very
Good
much.
stuff. Thank you.